Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Other Side of the Struggle. Um, so today I've been really prayerful and really thinking about like what I wanted to talk about in today's episode, and immediately this topic came to my heart and my mind because I know that, after talking to several women, that this is something that a lot of women are struggling with right now. And that is whether or not their husbands will support them financially or in any other way through their healing journey. Now, you guys have heard me talk about the different types of husbands. And I kind of, you know, uh, compare them to salsa. Um, and maybe it's because I like salsa and I like men. I don't know. But I don't know why I do that, but it just makes sense to me because you've got the mild husband, right? This is the husband who is into pornography or into some sort of an addiction that's really disrupting the families. It could be gaming, drinking, any kind of addiction or bad habit, really, that is really causing a struggle in the family. But this is the husband that is also very willing to like take some responsibility and say, "Hey, I understand that this is a really big struggle for you. I'm taking responsibility for that. That is on me. Let's talk about how I can support you through this, right?" So there's that husband. Um, there's also the medium. Okay, now obviously this husband also has some bad habits that are really disruptive to the family. Um, Porn, gaming, maybe drugs, drinking, like there's a lot of different things. But this is the husband that's not really willing to take any responsibility for himself. He's a lot more likely to gaslight you. And he places all the blame on you. Like you're the one in the wrong. You're the bad one, right? And then you've got your jalapeno. Now the jalapeno, this is a guy that you really probably need to get away from because not only does he not take any responsibility for his actions, he uses force. I'm talking like hitting you, getting physically aggressive with you, even emotionally and verbally aggressive with you. That's the jalapeno, and this is the guy that really needs to get into some anger management issues, anger management classes, right? Um, so that's the different kinds of husbands that usually I come across, the mild, medium, and the jalapeno. Um, but somewhere, no matter where you're at or which one you're married to, um, I always have someone coming up to me and just saying, I don't think my husband can support me financially or emotionally or mentally going through my own healing process. I have to wait for him. So I let me say this. Number one, I get where that comes from. Um, every single wife that I work with, whether she be a stay-at-home mom or a 6, 7 figure entrepreneur, um, she really wants to keep her family as her top priority. She wants to be respectful to her spouse, to really consider what his thoughts are in the situation, what his opinion is. She doesn't want to shame him. She doesn't want to broadcast to everyone that her husband is an addict. But the problem is she believes that in order to achieve that she has to throw herself under the bus, that she has to be the strong one. She has to be the one to take it all on, that she can't afford to give herself the things that she needs. And I will admit it's a little less likely with the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are usually pretty good at making final decisions and moving forward with it no matter what. But I still see it once in a while. But I definitely see it in wives who are building a business or just stay-at-home moms, and they feel like they have no way to support themselves because they are completely and utterly dependent on their husband. Now, let's tackle this with each one of the husbands, the mild, medium, and the jalapeno, right? So, number one, the mild. Most likely that husband is willing to support you. They see the damage that uh, their actions have caused or are still causing, and they're not sure how to stop it. They're very willing to support you in every single way they possibly can, but money might be tight. Okay. And number one, I can completely understand that perspective. I mean, I've been there. Okay. So there's no judgment, like no judgment whatsoever if that is your situation. And honestly, bless your heart for just kind of realizing your situation. And I feel like that's kind of like the number one thing is we really need to acknowledge what our situations are, and because we can't really move forward and get to our next step, our next growing point, if we are in denial of what our situation or if we don't know what the situation is, right? Um, so this is the point where it would do some good to consider what you can do to help financially. Okay. Now, that is not meant to be a slap in the face. Okay. Uh, Matter of fact, in the other side of the struggle Facebook group, just the other day, I was talking about things that we can do to earn money. Okay. Um, Most of you are stay-at-home moms. You've got little kids to consider. You've got mouths to feed, bodies to clothe, and your time is also very precious. You guys are dealing with a lot time-wise and money-wise. I get that. And so some of the things you might struggle with when trying to set some goals for yourself is, when am I going to have the time to do this? And how am I going to have the money to do this? Okay. So let's talk about that for just a minute. Number one, let's talk about the time. Okay. Time is not a commodity that we can get back. It is one of the resources that we have an allotted amount every single day. We cannot create more. It is not possible. Therefore, that means that we have to get intentional with it. And if you remember, that's the first pillar, right? Getting intentional versus expectational. Um, you really got to get clear on what it is you want. If you want healing, no matter whether you get find support and you have to pay for it, or whether you decide to do it all on your own, it is possible. It's a lot harder. It's just possible. It is possible. Um, then but no matter what you do, you're going to have to schedule time for it. When I was healing from, years and years of betrayal trauma, and I'm not just talking about from my husband's struggles, I'm talking about, from other struggles as well with other relationships, familial relationships, work relationships, neighbors, like you name it. I had a lot of deep trauma, and one of the things that I had to do is create the time for it, meaning that if it was important enough, that means it had to go on my schedule, no matter what. And so oftentimes, every single day, I was getting up at 4 a.m. I'm not saying you have to do that, okay? But I'm just saying this is what I did. I started getting up at 4 in the morning. So that way I could read my scriptures, because that was key. Remember, we've got to bring the spiritual energy up. I would exercise for 30 minutes, bringing up my physical energy, and I would journal letters to God and then write his response back. Um, and that brought up my mental and emotional energy. And sometimes I'd even listen to like a podcast or uh, a self-help book, um, just for a little bit. And this probably took me all in I'd want to say maybe a couple of hours. And then I was able to get up and get moving with my kids and get them to school and everything else I had to do to get my day set up right. Now, um, I still do my prayer and my scripture every single morning. And I also do something for my mentality. I study Spanish every single morning. I still bring those energies up some way every single morning, but it doesn't take me quite as long as what it did, because I've kind of stabilized and I'm okay if something comes my way. Okay. Um, but what my basic point is that you've got to be able to create the space in your schedule for that. So you've got to take a look at what your schedule looks like and make sure it goes in there. Now, if you want to like join one of my programs, or you want to get into counseling or some other coaches programs, like, no judgment. Yeah, that costs money, because that person is also exchanging their time with you to help you achieve a result, right? And that's really important, because those results, sometimes you just don't have the time to live the way you are anymore for another month, 2 months, 10 years. Like you just don't have that kind of time anymore. Um, and you know for a fact that it's really important that this issue be dealt with as soon as possible, so that way your family has the best chance to stay together. So if that's the case and you're saying, yes, I want to get in on a program, but I'm looking at the finances and I'm like, I just don't know where it's at. This is where we get to kind of get creative. Money follows creativity, always. It also follows relationships. Okay. So, number one, I want you to consider what you can do to earn money from home. And I'll give you a couple of ideas. Okay. When I first started earning money from home, I started creating cards for like baptisms and priesthood ordinations. And if you remember, I'm a Latter-day Saint, so like kind of religious congratulations cards. Okay. Um, New baby cards. Congratulations on your wedding cards. Thank you cards. Like, I started creating cards, and I sold them each for like $5 each, which is kind of hefty, but I also had to consider like what my costs were in every single card, right? And charge up from that. So, but people bought them. Um, and I was able to help support my family that way in the beginning. I started substitute teaching, and that was a little bit more difficult because I did have to leave my kids, whereas with making cards, I didn't have to, but substitute teaching just paid me a little better, okay? Um, there was when I started having more kids though, and I just realized that it just wasn't feasible to leave all of my kids every single day so I could teach. I started looking online for educational opportunities, and I started teaching at a company called Elevate. Um, and I taught there for a few months, and I started also teaching with VipKid. And that was early mornings. Sometimes I was up at 2:30 in the morning, and I don't recommend that, but that brought in, between the two of them, about $2,500 extra a month, which was fantastic. Then I also added on, I stopped Elevate, just did VipKid for a while, and then after a couple of years with VipKid, I added in OutSchool and started teaching with OutSchool. Now, OutSchool is pretty cool because, you know, with Elevate and with VipKid, you do have to have a degree to teach on those platforms, but with OutSchool, you do not. You basically have to have some sort of a you've got to have ideas for classes. So like if you're good at math and you want to do like math tutoring, or maybe you're good at writing, maybe you're good at language arts, maybe you have a degree in something drawing. Heavens, there's even like gaming classes on there, like how to learn how to beat the Ender Dragon on uh, Minecraft, right? They have all kinds of classes for kids. And I was teaching things like math, reading, and drawing to some of these kids. They've got singing classes, like you name it. You could teach literally anything on there as long as you've got lesson ideas and as long as you have experience teaching children. And if you do, that's actually a really great way to start earning some extra money. You get to set the cost of the class, make it reasonable, and then realize that OutSchool takes a 30% cut. So that's something that's a feasible opportunity for you, that you can actually create money while staying home with your kids, okay? Freelancer is another place where freelance writers can write. Starting a blog can sometimes get you some extra money, though it might take a little longer. Um, I have a neighbor who grows flowers and she sells bouquets. I've done bake sales. I've sold eggs because I have 15 chickens, right? I've sold eggs. Um, but my whole point here is it is possible to create money if we get creative. Um, and you know, I've talked to people before. If that's something you'd like a little bit of help with, you know, feel free to message me. Either I or someone on my team can help you kind of figure out what it is you'd like to do to start earning some extra cash. So that's important. I do feel like that. And it'll give you a little bit more freedom to do some of the things you want to do. Okay? So there's that. Um, if, however, your husband is the jalapeno, you could, not the jalapeno, I'm sorry, the medium. You could still have the financial struggles and you can be like, yeah, I mean, we're just not bringing in enough. And if that's the case, refer back to what I said about creating extra cash and getting creative and figuring out what it is you can do, because it's there, it's possible. Okay? But the second piece to this is if your husband is just being difficult, okay? Number one, it is like he doesn't want to deal with the shame. I get that, and I don't judge him for that, okay? I don't think there's a single husband out there that really wants everybody to know that they're struggling with porn. You know, my husband, he's okay with me talking about this kind of stuff, but it's not like I go around to every single person I know and be like, my husband struggles, right? Because that's just really disrespectful, in my opinion. But I talk to you guys about this because I want you to know that I can relate to what you're going through. And if that's the case, yes, I feel like it's important to be able to share things with other people to help them know that we get them. Okay. But even then, if you choose not to disclose to anyone that your husband has a struggle, you know, I do respect that. Okay. But he does not get to make decisions for you financially, period. If your husband had the guts to go out and get into pornography, drugs, or gaming, and he didn't ask for your permission for any of it, why do you have to ask for permission to heal? I don't agree with that at all. I believe 100% that that is one of the consequences that come from that action. You don't have to be left in the dust, and you get to make financial decisions for yourself. Now, that might seem scary. I'm not going to diminish that that might not be a little bit terrifying. To walk up to your husband and be like, hey, guess what? I just signed up for a program. I'm going to heal from my betrayal trauma. And him going, what? And then blaming you for the money not being in the account every single month. Like, I get that. But my question for you is what's worse? Are you willing to deal with him blaming you and learn how to put boundaries in place and say, uh-uh, no, 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 no. You don't get to talk to me like that. Remember, this is a consequence of your action. This is a consequence of you thinking it's okay to go out and get into pornography or go out and do what it is you did without any repercussions. I don't think so. It's time for me to take care of myself and heal. Now that it might cause some contention in your home, and my loves, let me tell you something. You're not the one rocking the boat. You are simply doing the thing that is going to give your family the best shot at healing. And if that's you, you guys can actually afford this, but you're afraid of what your husband is going to say, you're going to need extra support there. Okay? Because there are boundaries that you can put in place. And at some point, you do have to kind of really, really realize that you are doing the right thing. Despite what he says, despite how angry he gets, you're the one doing the right thing. And if that leads to divorce, my loves, it'll at least open the door for someone to support you better than what you have been supported. And there are things you can do right now, this minute, to get yourself in a better situation and a better place. What if I haven't gone to school and gotten a degree? I hear that too. I've got to go back to school and be able to support myself. Well, that's very good. Don't get me wrong. I went to school. I got a bachelor's degree in elementary education, right? I got that to fall back on. Realize that there are things you can do right now to start also financially supporting yourself. Um, Learning dog grooming, like that's a need. Uh, Take a look at the things that you love to do, things that you really like, things that you're good at. You know, teach classes, maybe sell some of your artwork, um, hold events. Like there's so many different ways that you can actually legitimately earn money online right now. Um, Bookkeeping, um, being a professional organizer, learning how to be a virtual assistant. Like there are so many ways to earn money. This is what I want you to know. And if you start building this now, I would do both. I would start building up a business for yourself now and start taking action for yourself now. And again, if that's something you want support with, reach out to us. We would love to help you with your next steps. That is what we're here to do. Okay? Lastly, the jalapeno. Obviously, the jalapeno is someone that is going to yell on the screen, possibly get physical. And if that's the case, I don't want you waiting another minute. This is a guy that you probably need to get away from. I say that with love. I say that with concern, but I say that with love for both you and him, actually. And the reason being is because it's not good for anyone to control the situations and outcomes of another person. Yes, financially, you might not be okay at first, but there are places, women's shelters, that you can go. Go to your ecclesiastical leaders, if possible, and tell them you need help getting out. If you can go to family, go. If you can't go to family, find a place that will support you. There's plenty of places out there where you can get away and get back on your feet. You don't have to wait one moment longer to take action in your life. And just because your husband won't let you, or possibly finances won't let you, okay? There are so many ways to get a start now. You're doing one right now. If you're listening to this podcast, you're doing something right now to help you get a firmer grip on what it is you need to do and how to move forward. We're here to support you. We're here to help you. And we're here to see you succeed in your life, your family, your relationships. Find the confidence that you need in order to take the action that can sometimes be scary, but you know is right. All right, my loves. So that's it for this week. I hope that was helpful. Main points, just remember that you do get to heal. You don't have to ask permission for it, and that you get to move forward. Okay? And if your husband is going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but is usually fairly supportive, the best thing I can tell you in that case is just say, hey, I'm not asking for your permission, I'm asking for your support. But I'm moving forward whether I have it or not. I just wanted to inform you of what the decision is. I'm not here to blame you. I'm not here to shame you. I'm not here to get angry at you. I want things to change and I want things to shift. And so I'm going to do what I can do to change and shift and grow. And this is the way I'm going to do it. And I would just like your support. But I'm moving forward either way. Okay? All right. Let me know what else you guys would like me to chat about. If there's any questions I can help you guys answer, I'm definitely here to do that. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye, guys.